Welcome to What the Hell is Going On News. On April 16th, 2026, a quiet upscale neighborhood in Annandale, Virginia. A 911 call pierces the silence. It's a call that no child should have to make. On the other line, a teenage son reports the unthinkable. His parents are dead inside their family home. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was the final violent act of a man who once stood on the principle of becoming the governor of Virginia. Today, we take a deep dive into the tragic fall of Justin Fairfax.
Now, we're following breaking news. Police are investigating an apparent murder-suicide at the home of former Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Justin Fairfax. Now, according to police, Fairfax shot his wife several times in the basement of their home. He then went to the bedroom and shot and killed himself. CBS News Crime and Safety Unit Anna Schechter joins us now on the phone. So, Anna, this is a heavy story. What are we learning about the investigation?
Well, police have been aware that there were ongoing domestic issues in the house. In fact, I learned this morning that he, former lieutenant governor, had called police in January and alleged that he was assaulted by his wife. Police investigated and found those allegations to be untrue. They looked at security cameras in and around the home. So they were aware of this. She had filed for divorce over the summer of 2025. And this was a very messy divorce. That is according to the police chief, who just held a briefing right outside their home.
Justin Fairfax was a rising star, the second black man ever elected to statewide office in Virginia. To the public, he was a brilliant lawyer and a political powerhouse. But behind closed doors of his Guinevere Drive residence, a much darker story was unfolding. A story of a collapsing marriage, financial ruin, and a desperate struggle for control. As he faced a court ordered deadline to move out of his home, the man who once fought for the law chose to break the law in the most permanent way possible. See, now this is crazy. This is crazy. Let's strip away the political headlines for a moment and let's examine the final weeks of a family in crisis. How does a man with everything to lose decide that if he can't have his wife, no one can? So stay with me as I break down the evidence, the court records, and the final moments of the Fairfax
Their
tragedy.
home. Investigators were working overnight photographing the basement. He shot her multiple times there before running up to the primary bedroom upstairs. And as you mentioned in the intro, both of their teenage children were home. The boy is a little bit older than the girl. He called 911. At first, he believed his mother had been stabbed, and he didn't know where his father was. And he called 911, and they figured out the chain of events. Once they got there, found the bullet casings near her body, and then found him upstairs. Both were pronounced dead in the early hours, just before 1 a.m.
So I don't want to just address all the shortcomings that's surrounding Justin Fairfax. I want to take a comprehensive deep dive into Justin Fairfax's background. So, in 2017 election as lieutenant governor, he was a young, charismatic, and widely seen as the future of the Democratic Party. Well, enough of the superlatives. Let's get into the shortcomings. That was fleeting, wasn't it? So let's start. Okay. In the year 2000 and 2004, he had sexual assault allegations on his name. They surfaced in the year 2019. Though he denied them, his political momentum stalled. He finished fourth in the 2021 gubernatorial primary with less than 4% of the vote. So he had to deal with the embarrassment of these sexual assault allegations, which slowed down his momentum as well. Not only did he have to deal with that, he also was having some serious financial issues. He lost his law firm partnership, which led to a significant financial crisis for him, which also added pressure in his personal life. Now let's get into the separation. Justin and Dr. Cerina Fairfax met at Duke University and married in 2006. She filed for a divorce in July of 2025 after nearly 2 years of separation.
Well, it's interesting. He had been accused previously, years ago, back in 2017, 18, 19 timeframe, and CBS News actually reported on sexual assault allegations against him, which he always denied. He was never charged or convicted of anything, but there were allegations out there about him years ago, going back a decade, and the domestic dispute issues police became aware of just in the last 6 months to a year. But they didn't have a long history looking at that, but they were aware of the allegations against him when he was lieutenant governor. So there's a lot to unpack here, and we are out to sources. Our Ed O'Keefe actually reported on those allegations several years ago. So the police chief, Davis, when he spoke this morning, he said this is a very messy situation. That's a quote, and there's a lot going on.
Although they were separated, despite the divorce, they both remained in the Annandale home. Cerina had installed cameras throughout the house. In January 2026, Justin called the police, alleging Cerina had assaulted him. The police reviewed the camera footage and proved his claims was false, which only exacerbated the tension between the two. Weeks before the shooting, a judge ordered Justin to vacate the family home. By April 30th, 2026, he was also denied primary custody. On Tuesday, April 14th, he was served with new court papers for a hearing scheduled for the following week. This is believed by the investigators to be the catalyst for the murder suicide. Just when I thought things couldn't get no worse for Justin, things take an even more dark turn. In the year 2022, he used money that was intended for his children's horseback riding lessons to buy a handgun, the same handgun that was used in the crime. Just after midnight of April 2016, Justin confronted Cerina in the basement. He shot her multiple times. He then ran to an upstairs bedroom and turned the gun on himself. And this is what makes the case even worse. Their two teenage children were in the home. The son discovered his mother's body first and called 911. Police arrived to find both of the parents deceased. The deaths of Justin and Cerina Fairfax have left Virginia in a state of shock, but for the wrong reasons. While the political world mourns the loss of a rising star, the community mourns Dr. Cerina Fairfax, a devoted mother and a successful dentist who was described as the pillar of her family. This case isn't just a political tragedy. It is a stark, harrowing example of how domestic disputes can escalate into lethal violence, regardless of one's status or title. As the investigation wraps up, the evidence points to a man who could not handle the loss of his reputation, his home, or his control. It serves as a reminder that the most dangerous time in the domestic dispute is often when the survivor attempts to leave or when the perpetrator is legally forced to let go. Their father, selfish acts, forced two children now to pick up the pieces of a life shattered in a single night. I want to thank you for watching this deep dive. Our thoughts are with the Fairfax children and the Annandale community. If you or someone you know are dealing with domestic instability, please reach out for help. Look, life was kicking Justin Fairfax ass. Life was putting belt to his ass and he couldn't handle the pressure. He had sexual assault allegations on his name, which ultimately derailed his career as a lieutenant governor. It was a wrap on that. He also lost his partnership in a law firm, which added extra weight to what he had going on, which added also some financial issues as well. Then his wife was giving him the boot. She didn't want to be involved with him no more. She probably was, messing with somebody else. So he started lying on her, saying she was whooping his ass and all type of stuff. Cops came, reviewed the footage. Come to find out that was a lie. So
Justin couldn't handle the pressure, and he did what a lot of men do: crash out. Man, he crashed out in the most violent, malevolent way. He took his life as well as hers, man. And it's sad to have to report something like that. But people, have severe mental health issues and need to seek the proper help that they need. They try to mask it with a bunch of drugs and things of that nature. Not saying that Justin was on drugs, but a lot of people try to mask they inner demons with drugs, and that's not the way to go. However, tell me what y'all think about this particular case. Sometimes to me, it seems like we have to report on a lot of people in high profile jobs, a lot of political leaders in office, and they be just as corrupt, just as maniacal, and as anybody else on the streets, but they're in a position of leadership. I think they need mental health evaluations as well. But once again, it's been fun. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to What the Hell Going On News. My name is Aki. Stay vigilant. God bless. Peace.